because Dad told me to check the water.
Hi, Mr. Gilmore.
Hi, Victoria. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. Tomorrow is Friday.
Amen to that. How was work?
I found out at I found out at 11:30 that I needed to put together a budget for a $75,000 program that the state needed to have by 5 o'clock. And at 4:45, I uploaded it to the place where it needed to be uploaded. And it all added up. So
was it all you, or did you have a good team with you?
No, I didn't have much of a team.
Oh, Mr. Gilmore.
It was mostly me. And I kept needing to try to touch base with our fiscal people to make sure my numbers were right. So I finally got a hold of them, and then once I got the personnel done and what's called indirect, then that tells you how much money you've got left to, take care of mileage and make sure somebody's got a pencil to write with and all those kinds of things. So,
are you a department head?
I'm a program manager.
Oh, you're a PM. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, for Madera?
Yeah, but for public health.
Oh,
so
okay.
Not social services. So, yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So, I got my degree in social work, and I worked in social work for a while, but I had a weird set of circumstances that happened where I ended up working for an agency that kind of focused on health issues, and then I just sort of transitioned. Hey, Brianna. So yeah, so I've been doing a lot of health stuff for the last 30 years.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I kind of always feel like social work is intended to try to create a place for people to be able to live a better life, and I always thought public health had the same kind of thing. So
oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I see that.
Brianna, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. And you guys are able to, the screen that you're seeing is our Canvas program? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll wait a few more minutes and get started. I'm not quite sure how many people are going to join this, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll be here every Thursday from 6 to 8.
Okay. I really don't have any questions, not yet. I want to make sure I don't miss anything.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. And
I'm the exact same way.
And I'm not really I'm going to spend a little bit of time. This is the way I thought about it. I want to kind of go back over what it was that you were working on last week, and then go through what it is that you're working on this week. And if you have any questions as we go through them, more than happy to answer those. When next week, what I'll do is everybody will have finished the first quiz, and I want to go through and kind of review what the right answers were, and if anybody has any questions about the quiz, we'll do the same thing with the exams. Okay. And I'm just available to answer any questions. I know what it must be like to be, you've got papers and this and that and all sorts of different kinds of stuff, and it might feel like it could be an easy thing to kind of let something fall out of the way. But again, I think if you really just concentrate on, this is what I have to get done for this week in this class, starting on Monday morning at 8 o'clock and ending on Sunday night at 11:59.
Yeah.
If you can kind of think about it in that way, you don't have to really be thinking a whole lot about, 3 weeks from now or anything. I would say just concentrate on the modular that you're working on during the week that it's supposed to be worked on. So,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm still on the road and not
yeah.
going
Yeah.
off.
Hi, Nikki, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're just going to wait a couple more minutes and see if anybody else wants to join. Thank you guys for joining. No problem getting onto Zoom.
I had to copy and paste the link from the announcement because for some reason I couldn't get into it from the conference Zoom link and Canvas.
I have to tell you guys something that's weird. When I try to book a Zoom meeting on Confer Zoom out of Canvas, it almost never works out right. And I'm sure it's something I'm not doing right. But I've got that I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That 10-digit number that's my Zoom room. But when I set a Zoom meeting up in Confer Zoom off of Canvas, it doesn't end up being that same number. It creates a whole new number. And so that's why I would really, I hope it's not too much of an inconvenience, but I would just always go off the announcement.
Yeah, I went to my email and it's highlighted blue already, but yeah, same that in Canvas, it's not highlighted.
Yeah, so I'm always gonna post it in the announcement and send you an email as well.
Okay.
So
I'll know for future now. And if it's the same room, it'll pop up in my meeting history now too. So I could just go directly from the Zoom app and just go to meeting history and get into the same room.
Cool. That's good. That's good. Okay, guys, I think we'll go ahead and get started. And thanks for joining me. And I just wanted to kind of go through where we're at. So again, like I said before, I think what I want to do, so today is Thursday in week 2. So what I want to do is I want to spend a little bit of time and just review everything that was covered last week, and then also go through what's on your agenda for this week and see if you have any questions or need any information. Hi, Stephanie. We're just getting started. You haven't missed anything.
Okay, good.
And we'll wait just a minute for Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
We're just getting started. You haven't really missed anything.
Awesome. Thanks.
So like I was saying, I'll say it one more time. What I want to do with this meeting is I want to just kind of go over everything that you were working on last week. And I know there wasn't a lot of things you were working on in the first week. It was more orientation kinds of things. And then I want to go through everything that's in the modular for the week that we're in the middle of right now and see if you have any questions or is anything unclear or anything like that. Like I was saying before, I think the smartest way to approach this class is just stick with the modulars and just really focus on what's in your modular for that particular week. And if you get everything done in that particular week, in that modular, I know you'll be in good shape. And like I've said a couple of times before, it doesn't really matter whether you jump on Monday morning when the exam opens up and the discussion board opens up and you do everything on Monday. It doesn't matter whether you jump on every day and do a little bit every single day. It doesn't even matter if you jump on Sunday night at 10 o'clock, and try to get through everything. I don't think that's the best way to do it, but whatever works for you and your schedule and your availability, that's just fine. So it's just that to know that everything kind of operates from Monday morning to 8 o'clock till 11:59 on Sunday night. So let's just quickly go through what was part of last week. And again, just a lot of material that was sort of an orientation to what the class was about and where you can find resources and all of those kinds of things. So here was the unit objective. So let's spend just a minute and take a look at those. So one of the objectives was under the heading of help you be a successful student at FCC, get to know your classmates. So talk to me a little bit about the discussion board. What did you guys think? Brianna, what were your thoughts about the discussion board?
I mean, I thought it was I like that just, you know, you can just kind of get into, just in general, get into doing the discussion board and just introduce yourself. And yeah. I definitely miss the in-person stuff. And I mean, I have a hard time sitting through lectures, but at the same time, I miss in person. And this is my first semester back in school in a very long time. So I definitely kind of wish it was in person, but still kind of getting hang of everything. Most of my classes are kind of running the same with the discussion board and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm getting the hang of it, but.
Good. Sarah, what were your thoughts about the discussion board?
I like doing discussion boards. I think it's interesting, like just seeing everybody's different perspectives. But I think it's also kind of funny because I feel like a lot of us kind of felt the same way about certain things. So I like them. Okay,
good to know. Any other comments on the discussion board? Did you feel like it did? And I know it's nothing like being in a classroom with students, but did you feel like it was a worthwhile effort and that you got to know a little bit about some folks?
Yeah, I like the icebreakers. You feel a little bit more comfortable reading everybody else's responses and not feeling like you are totally outside of the circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it.
I have to say that as I was going through them, and they've all been graded now, so you got your first grade. Everybody did really, really well. And I was amazed at how many people were parents. I was amazed at how many people had a lot of kids. That was great. That was really interesting. A lot of people are still trying to figure out what they want to really focus on in terms of school and that kind of thing. So a lot of interesting information that came from that. So the second objective was get to know your resources. And I hope maybe if you took a little bit of time and went through this modular, the class overview and introduction, you did come to know a little bit more about all the different services that are available to you as a student at Fresno City College. And then the final piece was about Canvas and about how Canvas is used and all the different ways that you can use it and all the different resources that are available. So I do know that when we did a survey last Thursday, it did seem like a lot of people felt pretty comfortable with Canvas. So that's good. That's good. And the second part was to become familiar with your syllabus, learning what the expectations are for the class, what the assignments are, and how the grades are calculated. So why don't we go to that? So here was the discussion board. Oh yeah, that's right. I gotta scroll all the way down. Look at how much stuff I had to read. But it was great. It was great. So again, can somebody tell me, are you guys actually seeing this on your Canvas home screen, this student resources?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Mine's different. It doesn't say online student success. It says,
okay.
Mine's, it lacks the online part.
Interesting. Does it have the same picture?
I need to double check that.
Oh, okay, okay. Check it out, Victoria, and if it doesn't seem like it's about online stuff, let me know and we'll see what's going on.
Okay, I'm gonna look at it right now on my phone.
So again, here was that whole passport to Canvas, student orientation to Canvas tools. No pressure here, but did anybody click on this, or has anybody looked at any of this, this passport to Canvas material?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to sign up for it to show up on my Canvas. But yeah, I did. It's very detailed information on Canvas and how to navigate through it.
Yeah.
So I didn't get too far into it though.
Yeah, a lot of stuff, right? I mean,
yes.
So the thing that I think is kind of helpful is the fact that if you're looking for just one thing, like how do I do this? I believe there's a search function within this passport to Canvas. So it would take you directly to what it is that you're trying to get addressed. So that's a good thing. You don't have to go through everything or hunt anything down. So so again, here's more student resources, more Canvas help. Again, the Cyber Cafe, you know, questions. This is a place, a way to use this to reach out to other students and ask, you know, what are you guys doing for this? Or how are you doing that? Or whatever. So it's a communication board for you and the rest of the students. Last Thursday, we went through this whole PowerPoint. I'm not going to go through it again, but I just wondered, any questions on the assignments that maybe now that you've been looking at stuff and those kinds of things that have come up for you?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, good. Any questions at all on any of the content in the syllabus?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, not
Great.
at this time.
Great. Okay. And as always, the syllabus is at the syllabus tab over here. So it's always available to you there. The home screen also has access to the syllabus as well as the most recent announcements and then all of the assignments down here. So, and again, I'm still building content for the weeks that are coming up. As time goes by, we'll get closer and closer to having this all done. Literally taking everything that I had on a piece of paper and turning it into something electronic. So it's kind of fun, and it's going to be pretty cool next semester when it's all done. But this semester, it's a lot of work and a lot of time. So, okay. So that was all of the introductory modular. And now moving into our very first modular that has actual information and things that you're working on. So, I had an interesting question that came through, I think through Canvas. Somebody asked, should we be reading the chapters in the textbook to go along with the modular? And what I would say about that is the PowerPoint and the lecture are just touching on sort of the main points. You're going to get a good overview through the PowerPoint and the lecture. But again, if you're thinking that social work is potentially going to be your career, if you can get it, if you can do it, and it's a hard ask, I know it's a hard ask, doing that reading, I would say try your best to read, if not everything, you know, skim it, and maybe the things that are most interesting to you. Maybe you think you've got a particular interest in child welfare. So maybe find in that particular chapter, is there anything that specifically relates to child welfare? Maybe you have a particular interest in substance abuse counseling. Maybe there's something in that chapter that has a direct relationship to substance abuse. But I would say that if this is going to be your career in the future, possibly, this is a great foundational textbook to be able to become familiar with. So even if you don't read it, this semester, or you don't get all the way through it, hold on to it if you can, if you've bought the copy, and it'll be something that you'll go back to, I think. So. So let's go ahead and start with the learning objectives for Modular 1. So the hope is that at the conclusion of this unit, the student will have an understanding of the history of social work in England and its influence on the delivery of social work in the United States, events and individuals who played a significant role in the development of social work in the United States over the history of the country, and the impact of individuals and politics in the development of specific social work policies at the federal and state level. So this is really sort of your history lesson. This is really what is the history of social work, who have been the movers and shakers, who have been involved. Hey, Araceli, how are you?
Good. Sorry I'm a little late. I just got out of a training.
No problem. We're basically just kind of reviewing what you are working on this week.
Okay.
In terms of the modular 1. So, so please take the time, if you don't mind, going through these learning objectives. And I think the smartest thing to do is to go back once you've finished all of the content in the modular and see whether you feel like we've hit these learning objectives. This is the first time I've used these, and I would very much appreciate hearing back from people. Shoot me an email, do something in Canvas, whatever you want, but just say, hey, I feel like we really did hit these learning objectives, or you know what, for me, it felt like one of the things that I got a lot out of was XYZ, and you don't have that listed as a learning objective. So, so again, we can't know where we're going until we sort of know where we've been. I think it's important to really highlight the heroes in social work from the past, and to really get a real good sense about how much social work has evolved and will continue to evolve. So that's what this piece right here is kind of all about. So, so here's your PowerPoint. The PowerPoint is incorporated into the videos. The PowerPoint is your best friend in terms of taking the quizzes. So while you don't have to necessarily sit here and go through all the slides, because that will happen when you watch the videos, it is a resource that I wanted to make sure that you had. And so that's why it's there, okay? So this whole video thing was such an interesting adventure last weekend. So I'll just share with you. So I'm recording the videos in Zoom, and then I'm uploading it to Dropbox. Then I'm opening my page on YouTube, downloading the videos into YouTube, and then uploading the videos into Canvas off of YouTube. And I know there's probably an easier way to do it, but I figured this all out, and it's the only way I'm going to do it, because I figured it all out. But it took me, I think I recorded my first one on Saturday, like at 2 o'clock, and I'd been at my desk since like 8, trying to figure out, okay, how do I do this, and where am I going to move it, and all that kind of stuff. So. But anyway, it's working. Has anybody looked at any of the videos?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So other than having to listen to me talk and all that kind of stuff, but they seem to be running okay. And
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, yeah, they
Okay.
worked good.
Okay, good. That's what I want to hear. Okay. So one of the things that I found out is that Modular 1, the first lecture in Modular 1, there's like 51 slides. So there's a lot going on. I just finished up the lectures for Modular 2, and there's only 2 videos. So everyone's going to be maybe a little bit different because just there's more content in some and less content in others. So just something for you to be aware of. Okay. So I hope everybody else loves this video as much as I love this video, but I don't know if anybody's been able to watch it yet, but it's, again, a great video that really shows all the different ways that social workers operate in different kinds of settings, whether it's hospitals or in government or, you know, at a high school level. And I think it's a great video. I think it really gives you this kind of idea about all the different ways and different places that social workers can operate. So I know for a lot of folks in the class, social work's a relatively new idea to them. They don't really have a clear picture about what a career in social work might look like. So I hope that this video somewhat helps sort of expand on all the different kinds of positions, roles, jobs that people can have with a degree in social work. So has anybody seen the video or watched it yet?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't know that there was the ones that are private that, you know, she's the one that makes her own schedule. She's a licensed I don't even know how to say it.
Clinician.
That licensed clinical social worker, an
Yeah.
LCSW. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had talked to my boss about her and I was like, I did not know that. And she had said, oh, she's a licensed clinician. I still can't say it.
No, you're right. A lot of people will say she's a licensed clinician.
Yeah.
But her diploma on her door, or her license on her wall will say that she's a licensed clinical social worker. So she's gotten her master's in social work. That's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Then she has to do many, many hours of counseling where she cannot get paid.
Oh,
and
wow.
she has to be supervised by somebody who's already licensed.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to take an exam that you have to pass that is administered by the state. And if you pass the exam, you become a licensed clinical social worker. And then what you can do is you can go out and open up your own business and, you know, see clients privately, whether it's individuals or families or, you know, basically individuals or families or couples maybe. The biggest challenge that I hear from people who are working as in private practice is the complications of having to bill insurance. Because unless you hire somebody who does sort of all of your paperwork and all that kind of, because the only way you get paid is you have to bill the client's insurance to be able to get reimbursed. So, so unless you hire somebody who does all your billing for you, if you're trying to do that yourself, it's crazy. One insurance company will let you see somebody for 2 visits. Another insurance company will let you see somebody for 4 visits. It's crazy, the things and the way that you have to manage all those differences. So anyway, any other comments on the video if anybody's seen it? Okay. So here is video 2 of 4. So continuing the lecture. Another great video. I love this video. It was so cool. It's cool when you're seeing in the PowerPoint that we're talking about you know, different Dorothea Dix or Jane Addams, but then to actually see a picture of them or a video of them or something like that, For me, that's really cool. There's we in the video and in the PowerPoint, they talk about what's called Hull House, which is the settlement house that Jane Addams established in Chicago more than 100 years ago. And you can go to Chicago and tour Hull House. It's super cool. It's really, really neat. So this really gives you, again, a kind of a snapshot of people from our history, as well as more recent sort of pioneers or folks who really moved social work forward.
I really liked that video.
Did you?
Yeah,
Good.
it was cool.
Good, good, good. Here is lecture video 3 of 4. I hope you guys caught my message where I said, I realized after I recorded the video that I kept saying, now we're moving on in modular 2. We weren't in modular 2, we were in modular 1. And I was not going to go back and re-record that entire thing just because I made that one mistake.
Yeah, definitely not worth it.
Yeah. So another, in my opinion, another great video that really gives you a snapshot of the Great Society programs of the 1960s. It's amazing when you take a look at these, how many different programs still exist, how many programs we hear about all the time, you know, all sorts of different things. And really just to get to know the fact that this was probably not Lyndon Johnson's ideas initially. It may have been his ideas initially, but I mean, once he got a hold of it, he was cranking out legislation after legislation that was really all focused around issues to improve people's lives. So really cool video. So here's the 4th lecture. Here is the discussion board. So let's just review this really quickly. So in the introduction to this unit, Elizabethan Poor Laws reflected the values that emphasize personal responsibility, local control over decision-making, promotion of family values, limited government involvement in social welfare programs, and the distinction between the deserving poor versus the undeserving poor. And the bottom line is that many of these values continue to hold true in new efforts at social welfare policy. Are these values still relevant to our society today? So I wanted you to give me your initial response, hopefully by yesterday, where you select and restate one of the values identified in the statement above. So there's the whole list of everything that was talked about. And make a statement about your belief that these should or should not be values we use today when setting policy for human service programs, and why or why not. And then go ahead.
I have a question. We were supposed to have this done by yesterday?
Yeah, do you see the guidance?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it doesn't mean that you're out of compliance. Araceli, the reason that I did Wednesday was I was hoping that maybe some people would have had it done by the time we met tonight. And maybe if you had any questions or something wasn't clear or something like that, you know, we could talk about it. You're not out of compliance. You've got really until Sunday night to get everything done here.
Okay. Because that's what I was initially thinking, like I have until Sunday to get, because I'm taking another class at Fresno City and I work full time. So I wasn't going to get going on things until after tonight, after the Zoom tonight.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
But I guess what I would ask is if you know, just make sure that you've taken a look at it maybe by Thursday. So if there's something that's not clear or you don't understand or whatever, then we can go ahead and talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. And then by Saturday, we're looking for you to reply to 2 of your peers.
Okay.
So if you could jump on this by Saturday, provide your initial response, and then two responses to your peers that will meet the criteria for the assignment.
Okay.
Hi, Arlene.
Hi.
Happy you could join us. We're
Thank
kind of
you.
we're just going through everything that is in the modular for this week.
Okay.
So we're kind of close to the tail end, but if you have any questions, we can go back and talk about anything that maybe you have any questions about. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
So then the last thing is the quiz. 10 points, 10 questions, true, false, multiple choice. Some people have already done this. And so it opened on Monday at 8 a.m. It closes on Sunday at 11:59. So, and guys, that's everything in Modular 1. So any
Very cool.
questions, comments, anything?
No.
Okay. This is my first time doing this office hours thing. I don't know. Is there anything you guys want to get out of this time other than maybe reviewing what you had worked on and what you should be working on now?
I have a question. How you said to just kind of go over it on Wednesday, so that way we have questions to bring up to you on Thursday for these office hours.
Yeah.
Can we? Is it okay if we still email you on Friday?
Oh yeah.
With questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So.
Okay. Yeah.
You can email me on Saturday. You can email me on Sunday. Quite frankly, I'm looking at my emails almost every day.
Okay. Good. Me too.
So.
Great.
Okay.
Oh, I have another question.
Sure.
How do you want us to call you? Like, what do you prefer to be called? I mean, I usually call I just graduated, so I called everybody professor.
You know what? I'm not. I mean, I'm just Alan.
Okay.
And I'm
Alan.
super cool with that. But I know a lot of people sort of default to Professor Gilmore or whatever, and whatever's fine. But I'm super comfortable with just being called Alan. A lot of people call me Professor G. I don't know where that came from, but somebody picked that up and kind of got it. So
okay.
So, but I'm very comfortable. You'll see that I end all of my announcements and my emails with just Alan. So.
Okay.
I'm a big Gilmore Girls fan, so
I'm watching that right now. I'm watching that right now.
Gosh,
I'm not even kidding. It's in the background.
Okay, I'm not the only one.
I swear, when that show was on TV regularly, there must have been once a week where somebody would say, "Oh, like the TV show," and I'd say, "Yeah, like the TV show."
Mr. Gilmore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the grandfather was
the grandfather
he ended up being a professor, so he was Professor
at
Gilmore.
Yale.
Yeah.
That's true. So.
That's good. Okay, guys. That's all the questions I have. I'll see you next week in the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Araceli. Bye. Any Sarah? Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you do? I forget if we talked about this before, but do you do study guides for the quiz?
I don't. What I would really suggest is using the PowerPoint.
Okay.
If you have, I think I've said this a couple times, but the PowerPoint is your best friend to take the quiz.
Okay, thank you.
And the thing that's weird is somebody wrote me and said, I can't pull the PowerPoint up at the same time I'm doing the quiz. So I know it may be a bit of a challenge, but you can print the PowerPoint out, and there's a way to be able to print it so that it gives you like 6 slides on one page.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
I just have to say sometimes the print gets a little. It may be a little bit hard to read, but I don't know. We got to figure out some way where you could have the quiz open and you're taking the quiz and you still, I don't know.
Yeah, typically if you download the PowerPoint as a PDF,
Of
then you
course.
can open your browser and have the PDF open next to it.
Perfect. That makes so much sense. Thanks
Yeah.
for thinking about that.
Yeah,
That's
you
good.
can also save your PowerPoint in the PowerPoint application. So like it's a Word doc, you can still save it, and you can even edit yours. So that's what I do.
Okay.
I took my quiz on my laptop and just had the Canvas app open with the PowerPoint on my iPad.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. Any other questions or anything else we want to touch base on?
I just was wondering, since some people have posted, including myself, have you looked over some of what some of us have put on the discussion boards? Can you give some feedback on that? Like, are we going in the right direction?
I think so. I'll be real honest with you. I've been kind of focused on correcting, I got 48 students, right?
Yeah, sorry.
So I made a commitment that before tonight, I wanted to have all of the first discussion board graded. So those have all been graded. And I'm a comment person too. So I try to put a comment or two into every single one. So that's why maybe it takes a little bit of time. I would say from the few that I've taken a look at, it looks like people are, on the right track. But
Okay.
I'm kind of always a person who says, you can say sort of the most outlandish thing, but if you can defend it and hold it up, that's a good thing, I think. So,
Yeah.
So in terms of what I've seen so far, I think people are on good footing. I'm also taking into consideration that it's week 2 of school. So, people are still kind of figuring out how to do things, and people I think sometimes are trying to second guess, what does he want? What does he want me to say? I'm not really looking for that. I'm really looking for, a good response. I'm looking for good grammar. I'm a stickler for good writing. So, and spelling words correctly. There's spell check and all that kind of stuff. What I have a tendency to do is, if people are a little challenged in their writing, do the discussion board on a Word doc and then just copy and paste it onto the discussion board.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah. But so far so good. So, but I do have a tendency with the discussion boards to wait until everybody's gotten theirs in, and then I go in and start grading them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? Arlene, anything to touch base on?
No, I just came to see what the office hours were like.
Okay. Again, what we did was we kind of took a look at what happened last week and what you're working on this week. Next week, we'll jump onto the quiz and review the answers. So now, since everybody's still, I'm not going to show you the answers now because some people haven't taken the quiz, but they'll take it by Sunday. And so what we'll do is we'll jump onto it and go through and see, what were the right answers, what were the wrong answers, why was that one right, why was that one wrong. So it helps you maybe, some of the content in the quizzes, I'm not saying it's the same question that you'll have in the exam, but learning the right answer in the quiz, I think is going to help you in the exam. Because remember, when you get to the exam, it's still those 4 chapters, and it's 25 true false multiple choice questions. So, okay. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, I'm going to hang because I said I would be here till 8. But if you don't have anything else, I'm happy to let you go eat your dinner or go do whatever you need to do. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Well, I told everybody that I would stay on until 8, so I'm going to stay on until 8. Yeah. Scooty, my Scooty. Who's the host tonight? Okay. Go see Daddy.
Oregon, voters have been voting by mail for years. Republicans and Democrats to undermine voting by mail, and we're not going to let them do that. Our job is to make sure everyone can vote safely, whether in person or by mail. And your job is to make sure you vote.
And there's more. Once you've done that, talk to your friends and neighbors. Spread the word. Tell everyone you know to text VOTE to 30330 for more voting options. If you're planning to vote from home, request and return your ballot early. And remind everyone you know to make a plan to vote.
Don't let anyone keep you from exercising your most sacred rights. Make your plan to vote. Grab your mask and head to the polls the first day they're open. Or request your ballot and send it in right away. And know this, election results may take a little longer this year, but Democrats will fight to make sure your ballot is counted.
Because at the end of the day, the biggest role in preserving our democracy isn't ours, it's yours. Our family has a crazy history with America, and it all starts with it being a beacon for immigrants. It's really cool being like part Polish and part Puerto Rican and also part Black, because I get to, for me personally, I get to be this like melting pot of America.
You're an immigrant, that come from an immigrant family. The Democrats brought you in. They're in danger of losing the meaning of this country.
Every generation before us has had to fight for what they believe in, and it's just our turn now.
I was so proud when I saw the demonstrations that were going on across the country.
This year's election means a lot to me because I feel like our generation is so motivated right now to make a difference. There's a lot of changes that we have to make, and I'm counting on Joe Biden, and I believe in him.
I'm here because a union job lifted my family out of poverty and into the middle class. My grandfather left the Jim Crow South for Detroit, joined the UAW, and got a job on the assembly lines during World War II. That union job enabled him to support his family, raise my mom, and send her to Fisk University. That's the American dream. Together we work, together we rise. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris know the dignity of all working Americans. They know the urgency and the demand of our dream. The working people are under attack. The wealth gap grows, our middle class shrinks, and poverty persists. Last week, Donald Trump said, and I quote, "Our economy is doing good." While 40 million Americans are at risk of losing their homes, 30 million aren't getting enough to eat, and 5.4 million people have lost their health care because of this crisis. He has failed us. But still, I believe in the dream of our ancestors. Together with Joe and Kamala in the White House, we'll raise the minimum wage so no one who works a full-time job in America lives in poverty. Together, we'll fight for those who keep us healthy, who keep us safe, who teach our children. We'll stand for those who cook and serve and clean, who plant and harvest, who pack, and always those who deliver, whose hands are thick with calluses, like my granddad's were, who lifted me high and held mine when I was a boy. If he was alive, Joe and Kamala, he would be so proud of you. And he'd tell us, take another by the hand and another, and let's get to work. This dream ain't free, you gotta work for it. So like his generation, up and out of the Depression, let's now work together and stand together. And America, together, we will rise. It's my team. You guys go America, not Wall Street. Communities go America. Right.
The Americans just want to live a neatly comfortable type of life that works as well. We got a 17 and a 7-year-old at home, and we're still working. Thanks to our international executive board for getting with General Motors and making sure that it's safe for us to return back to work after 8 years of being laid off. I mean, it's hopes at one point. Now here we are, full blown.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, the future of auto workers in America, and I really believe this, can be as bright as it was back in the late 40s, 50s.
Yes.
Simple reason, it's an iconic industry. It's an American industry. We made it. We made it.
Thank you.
It's been a very interesting 2020. I've been in the fire service 16 years and never experienced anything like COVID. We had to change our whole tactics, the way we did our day-to-day. And now, had a hurricane that just came in 2 weeks ago, and we were almost right on the eye. We never thought would be because water rescues and with masks on, having to worry about COVID, it was interesting.
How is your family doing?
Well, I'm a single dad. I have an almost 5-year-old who's my world. And I'm very lucky that my parents are retired. My mom actually retired right after my daughter was born to help us with her. She was so looking forward to pre-K, going to big school, like she says. And then unfortunately, COVID came in, and now it's all going to be online schooling, which I'm fortunate I have my parents. But I do have a lot of guys that are double-income families, and they're just trying to figure out how they're going to do it with their kids, what arrangements are they going to make. And so that going to be going to school, it's going to be online.
It's 2 people in my household. I have a family of 2, and we have grown kids that are no longer in the household. But it takes 2 people to build. We have an ongoing goal of a 5-year goal of buying a house in the next 5 years. So hopefully we'll save.
Look, everybody, you talk about the middle class. The fact is that the way middle class people generate wealth overwhelmingly is building up equity in their home. And that's what gets passed down from one generation to the next, the equity in the home.
You know, the middle class has continued taking hits, and one of the reasons why we're on this call is we realize how important it is to have you in the White House. We need a comprehensive energy policy for renewable resources, which I know you have one. And if we're going to build the middle class, it's about the jobs.
The future really rests on investment. We're going to be investing $2 trillion in infrastructure, ports, bridges, highways, making sure that we have access to do things that really make a difference, like what you're doing in that solar facility outside of Harrisburg. You know, on the Scranton board. You know, Central Pennsylvania is okay, but you know, Northeast. Keep the faith, guys. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I know it's not typical for a former Surgeon General to speak at a convention. Surgeons General are appointed by presidents, but our work isn't about politics. Our highest duty is to the public. Our true guide is science, and our job is to speak the truth about public health, even when it's controversial or perceived as political. So here's the truth. Our nation absolutely has what it takes to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic that's claimed tens of thousands of our loved ones. We have the talent, resources, and technology. What we're missing is leadership. We need a leader who works with states to ensure that everyone who needs a test gets one and gets results quickly. A leader who secures a safe, effective vaccine and distributes it quickly and fairly. A leader who inspires us to practice distancing and wear masks, not as a political statement, but as a patriotic duty, a commitment we make to one another. That's why I'm here tonight. Not because of politics or for party, but because I know Joe Biden can be that leader. I've worked with Joe Biden. I've seen who he is with no cameras around, how he sits with people in their pain and holds them in his heart, how he pores over COVID briefings, asking smart questions, letting science guide his way, just as he did when managing the Ebola crisis. And 6 years ago, when Joe Biden met my family, many of them immigrants, all to be in the nation's capital, I saw how he kneeled beside my grandmother's wheelchair, took her hands in his, and said, "Thank you for choosing us, the United States of America, as the place to trust with your family." Tonight, as a father, son, and grandson, as a doctor who swore an oath, And as an American who loves my country, I can tell you that Joe Biden is the man I trust to look out for my family and the leader I know will heal this nation.
Hi, I'm Senator Tammy Baldwin. When I was 9 years old, I got sick, really sick. I was hospitalized, but since my grandparents were the ones raising me and our family's health plan didn't cover grandkids, they were forced to pay out of pocket for my 3-month hospital stay. I got better, but the insurance companies didn't. They refused to cover me at any cost because I was marked child with a pre-existing condition. We all have stories like this. Stories about a time when the system was rigged against us, when we were counted out, left out, pushed out. Just think of what we've heard these past 4 days. Healthcare professionals who don't have the protective gear they need. Young people whose asthma will get worse as our air quality does. Workers who are afraid of losing their jobs. Each story begs this simple, fundamental question, a question that gets to the heart of the choice in this election. What kind of country do we want to be? Do we want to be a country where millionaires get to dodge taxes, or one where working families get a break? Do we want to be a country where medical bills bury people in debt, or one where healthcare is affordable for all? Or where tens of thousands of people die from a virus, or where the American dream lives? I think we know the answer to that fundamental question, because most of us want the same things. Good schools in our neighborhoods, racial justice, the freedom to love who we want, dignity in our work, and an economy where small businesses and working families thrive. And over the past months, we've added another to that list, a nation free from COVID. That's why Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the only answer in this election. Trust me, they are. You see, there's another part of my story. The part where I ran for office, the part where I served in Congress, the part where I worked with Joe Biden and Barack Obama to make sure kids and grandkids, if they're dependents, can stay on their parents' health insurance until they're 26. We got that done. And yes, it was a big effing deal. That's the America I know. That's the America I love. And that's the America we will be with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House. A nation that plans, a nation that builds, a nation that builds back. Say it with me there at home, a nation that builds back better. Here in Wisconsin, our state motto is just one word, forward. This November, let's move forward and never look back. Thank you. If you want to help Joe and Kamala make sure that America stays strong and united, please go to joebiden.com and contribute anything that you possibly can. Tonight, I couldn't be prouder to be a loyal union member, a passionate climate activist, and a patriotic Democrat. Or as Donald Trump will call me in a tweet tomorrow, a washed-up horse face, no talent has been with low ratings. Well, with all due respect, sir, it takes one to know one. And now I'd like to introduce you to a real American hero, World War II veteran Ed Good.
I am Edward Good. I'm 95 years old. I'm a veteran of World War II and of Korea. When I wear a uniform, I wear only 2 badges, my parachute wings, and the combat infantry.
Oh my God, that was.
I did make one
Oh,
combat
have
over the ride in Germany, and I'm proud of that. I have been a Republican has been the worst president we've ever had. So I'll be glad to see him go. I think Joe Biden will be a great leader for the United States. Like me, on the day when I jumped into Germany, I think Joe Biden cares about doing his proper duty for the United States. And if he's elected, that's what he will do.
This year's election is very important. Probably be the most important election we've had in years. I recommend strongly, based on the division in this country created by our current president, Donald Trump, we need to put somebody else in the White House that's going to bring us together. Now, let me just explain something. I've been a long-standing Republican for a long time. And I'm telling you, you got to vote for Joe Biden. You have to. I don't think we can deal with the type of person we have in the White House any longer. So it's up to you, America, and me, because in this election, I'm voting for Joe. I'm sure, I'm absolutely sure he's going to help us bring this country together once again.
My name is Lakeisha Cole. I met my husband 20 years ago. We started dating while I was in college. Once I graduated from college, we eloped. 2 weeks after that, he deployed.
This is what I wanted to do. You know, you love this country. Are you willing to do the hard work it takes to maintain it?
What was supposed to be a 6-month deployment actually turned into 11 months. There was nothing really to prepare me as a new military spouse on how to deal with distress.
When people get married, they expect to grow old with each other. With multiple combat tours, there's no guarantee of any of those things.
There's just a long laundry list of uncertainties that we have to juggle. You know, Joe has always cared about military families. They've been through so much. When I went to Iraq, one of the generals said, you know, I want to share this story with you. In his daughter's class, it was a Christmas program, and they were playing the Ave Maria. And one of the little girls burst into tears. And the teacher ran over and said, what's the matter? What's the matter? And she said, that's the song they played at my daddy's funeral. He died in the war. The teacher had no idea that that little girl's father had fought in the war and had died. And that night, I said to my staff, I'm a teacher. We can do better. We've got to do better to help our military kids. Bidens have a track record of helping military families, and we've seen it with their work that they've done with joining forces and how they were able to, you know, rally a country behind us.
To defend our nation. Care for them and their families while they're gone, and care for them and their families when they come home.
It was the very first time that I, as a military spouse, felt like someone was listening to us and someone cared. It's not just the service member who serves, the entire family serves as well. Joe said we have one sacred obligation to take care of our military members. During this pandemic, for sure, so many veterans have lost their jobs. So many military spouses have lost their jobs. That's one of the things that will be a priority in a Biden administration. We will make sure that all Americans have health care, employment, the things that families need to thrive. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time, and we know exactly who Joe is. He is the best candidate for America, not just for our families, but for all families.
HS 20.
Good evening. I'm Tammy Duckworth. When I first enlisted in the Army, I was eager to serve my country, yet anxious whether I'd be able to earn my way into the ranks. But I earned my wings and later commanded my own air assault unit, learning that serving and leading in the military is both a privilege and a sacrifice. To be a commander, you must always put your troops first, because one day you may order them to sacrifice everything for our great nation. To do that, leaders must command their troops respect and be worthy of their pledge to protect and defend our Constitution, no matter the cost. But military service doesn't just take sacrifice from those in uniform. It's required from their families, too. My husband, Brian, was the one who rushed to Walter Reed after I was wounded in Iraq. He was the one holding my hand, waiting for me to wake up. And when I finally did, he was my rock, getting me through those hours, weeks, months of unspeakable pain and unending surgeries. He was my anchor as I relearned to walk, helping me through every step and every stumble. Our military spouses hold their families together, praying for their loved ones' safety wherever they're deployed and serving as caregivers to our disabled service members, and then picking up the pieces and starting again whenever the next tour or the next war arises. Joe Biden understands these sacrifices because he's made them himself. When his son Bo deployed to Iraq, his burden was also shouldered by his family. Joe knows the fear military families live because he's felt that dread of never knowing if your deployed loved one is safe. He understands their bravery because he has had to muster that same strength every hour of every day Bo was overseas. That's the kind of leader our service members deserve. One who understands the risks they face and who would actually protect them by doing his job as commander-in-chief. Instead, they have a coward-in-chief who won't stand up to Vladimir Putin, read his daily intelligence briefings, or even publicly admonish adversaries for reportedly putting bounties on our troops' heads. As president, Joe Biden would never let tyrants manipulate him like a puppet. He would never pervert our military to stroke his own ego. He would never turn his back on our troops or threaten them against Americans peacefully exercising their constitutional rights. Joe Biden would stand up for what's right, stand tall for our troops, and stand strong against our enemies. Because unlike Trump, Joe Biden has common decency. He has common sense. He can command, both from experience and from strength. Donald Trump doesn't deserve to call himself commander-in-chief for another 4 minutes, let alone another 4 years. Our troops deserve better. Our country deserves better. If you agree, text MORE to 30330 to elect Joe Biden, a leader who actually cares enough about America to lead.
Good evening. I'm Bo Biden, and Joe Biden is my dad.
Some voices are never silenced. Some work never ceases to change lives. Some people never stop inspiring, even after they're gone. Joe Biden is a husband, father, brother, son, soldier, attorney general. He was given just 46 years on this earth.
He did in 46 years what most of us couldn't do in 146. Think about the day that dawns saved him because of him. Whose lives are full because of him. Think about the day that dawns for parents who rest easier and families who are freer because of him. Some folks may never know that their lives are better because of Bo Biden, but that's okay. Certainly for Bo, a claim was never the point of public service.
If you knew Bo, you knew he lived by the strictest code of honor, duty, service, country. You never had to ask if he would do something the right way. You didn't know any other way.
Bo didn't cut corners. He turned down an appointment to be Delaware's Attorney General so he could win it fair and square. When the field was clear for him to run for the Senate, he chose to finish his job as AG instead. After 9/11, he joined the National Guard. He felt it was his obligation. He did his duty to his country and deployed to Iraq.
Bo Biden served his country in battle. He prosecuted one of the worst child predators in American history. And even though he is no longer with us, every day he still inspires the next president of the United States.
It won't be possible for me to be here this fall. So I ask
something to ask of you. Be there for my dad, like he was for me.
A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I was absolutely terrified. One of the first people who called me was Joe. His real warmth and kindness on that call, man, I gotta say, it made me cry. Our current president has made me cry too, but it's never had anything to do with his warmth or kindness. Joe Biden's empathy is genuine. You can feel it. That's why President Obama asked Joe to head up the cancer moonshot.
What?
President Obama knows what we all know. Joe Biden understands suffering and loss and sacrifice. Mayor Pete Buttigieg also knows something about sacrifice. He volunteered and was deployed to Afghanistan, then returned home to Indiana to become a highly effective public servant. Say hi to Mayor Pete.
Good evening. Joe Biden lived a life of service, in office and in uniform. When you put your life on the line for this country, you do it not because it's the country you live in, but because it's a country you believe in. I believe in this country because America uniquely holds the promise of a place where everyone can belong. We know that for too many and for too long, that promise has been denied. But we also know America is at its best when we make that circle of belonging wider. Just over 10 years ago, I joined the military where firing me because of who I am wasn't just possible, it was policy. Now, in 2020, it is unlawful in America to fire someone because of who they are or who they love. The very ring on my finger, a wedding we celebrated, here where I'm standing, reflects how this country can change. Love makes my marriage real, but political courage made it possible, including that of Joe Biden, who stepped out ahead even of this party when he said that marriage equality ought to be the law of the land. There is a long way to go, but if this much can change between 2010 and 2020, imagine what could change between now and 2030. Imagine what we could achieve. This coalition we're building this very season, gathering progressives and moderates, independents, and even what I like to call future former Republicans, standing for an America where everyone belongs. For the soul of the nation. And to me, that contest is not between good Americans and evil Americans. It's the struggle to call out what is good in every American. It's up to us. Will America be a place where faith is about healing and not exclusion? Can we become a country that lives up to the truth that Black lives matter? Will we handle questions of science and medicine by turning to scientists and doctors? Will we see to it that no one who works full-time can live in poverty? I trust Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to guide us toward that better future because I've seen up close their empathy and their capacity, just as I've seen my fellow Americans' capacity to support and include one another in new ways and do better by the promise of America. The day I was born, the idea of an out candidate seeking any federal office at all was laughable. Yet earlier this year, I campaigned for the presidency, often with my husband Chasten at my side, winning delegates to this very convention. Now I come to this convention proudly supporting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, joining fellow Democrats who were squaring off in competition just a few months ago. A number of us recently got together to talk about the Joe we know.
I'm Cory Booker. Welcome to everybody at home. I am very excited to present to you a group of people that ran in the 2020 Democratic primary against Joe Biden. you could think of this sort of like Survivor on the out interviews of all the people that got voted off the island. Bernie, don't you laugh, because I got questions for you, like, why does my girlfriend like you more than she likes me? But because she's smarter than you, and that's the obvious answer, right? Hey, I'm curious because Senator Sanders and Senator Klobuchar, you actually served with Joe Biden in the Senate. I'm wondering if you have any memories of what he was like as a colleague in the Senate.
Well, I remember one night when I was giving one of those floor speeches, and Corey, you know what this is like. No one was there. No one was watching. I was all alone, and I gave my speech, which much bigger, to a completely empty chamber. And I walked out of there, and I thought, I wonder if my mom was even watching this on C-SPAN.
Hello, students, and welcome back to Modular 2, Social Work and Other Helping Professions. I'm Alan Gilmore, your instructor for Human Services 20, and we're going to pick up where we left.
For calling me and being a mentor, but it also goes to how much he cares about our government and what people are saying, and that even when he's at home at night, he's watching and he cares.
But Amy, we all want to know, did your mother watch the speech? Remember the steak fry when we were waiting to go on? It worked out to where I was there the same time he was. And he pulled me aside at one point and he pointed to somebody who we both knew who was working on my campaign.
Hello, students, and welcome back. This is Module 2 of Human Services 20, and this chapter is entitled Social Work and Other Helping Professions.
Over time, I realized that was just basic to who he is, but that always stuck with me. Elizabeth, do you have any remembrances as well?
I think the day I saw Joe the clearest was on the 1-year anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombing. And everyone, of course, was enormously honored to have the vice president here. But at some point in that speech, he shifted to the parent who had lost a child, to the man who had lost a wife, to someone who had experienced loss very personally. And he spoke to each of the families from the heart.
That's phenomenal. I want to ask, what gets you excited about this idea of the inclusion of big ideas from all over the party into the future, to the next administration?
The magic of Joe Biden is that everything he does becomes the new reasonable. If he comes with an ambitious plan to address climate change, all of a sudden, everyone's going to follow his lead. You can see with him choosing Kamala, too. He wants to build the best team. Let's do it together. That's how we're going to rebuild this country.
Corey, I'm so optimistic about our country right now, despite some very dark days for a lot of our fellow Americans, in large part because of what young people are doing right now. After the murder of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, young people, by and large, led these protests, and they did so in the absolute best traditions of this country, the tradition of John Lewis. My optimism and my faith in this country is reflected in those young people and the way that Joe and Kamala are listening to them and incorporating their ideas and their urgency in the campaign that they're running and the administration that they're going to lead. Not to think some people say they don't know if they're going to vote or not, or saying that from a point of privilege that a lot of Americans don't have. There's so many things for lots of folks who live life on the margins that this election is going to decide. And maybe it's not a life or death issue for you, but we are all in this together. Absolutely.
Corey, what I would say is that this is clearly the most important election in the modern history of this country. And Joe Biden, you have a human being who is empathetic, who is honest, who is decent. And at this particular moment in American history, my God, that is something that this country absolutely needs. And all of us, whether you're progressives, whether you're moderates or conservatives, have got to come together to defeat this president.
Thanks for that, Bernie. I want to thank you all for joining us for this segment. I mean this sincerely. It was an honor to run against you. And it is even a greater honor to stand with you in support of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Good evening. I've never been much for partisan politics,
I've supported Democrats, Republicans, and independents. Hell, I've actually been a Democrat, Republican, and independent. All about people. And the two people running for president couldn't be more different. One believes in facts, one does not. One listens to experts, the other thinks he knows everything. One looks forward and sees strength in America's diversity. The other looks backwards and sees immigrants as enemies and white supremacists as allies. Here's another difference. One has proven he knows how to handle a crisis by helping to lead the economic turnaround after the 2008 recession, while the other has not only failed to lead, he has made the current crisis much worse. When confronted with the biggest calamity any president has faced in the modern era, Donald Trump spent the year downplaying the threat, ignoring science, and recommending quack cures, which let COVID-19 spread much faster than it should have, leaving hundreds of thousands needlessly sick or dead. He has failed the American people catastrophically. 4 years ago, I came before this very convention and said, New Yorkers know a con when we see one. But tonight, I'm not asking you to vote against Donald Trump because he's a bad guy. I'm urging you to vote against him because he's done a bad job. Today, unemployment is at historic highs, and small businesses are struggling just to survive. It didn't have to be this way. Before I ran for mayor, I spent 20 years running a business I started from scratch. So I want to ask small business owners and their employees one question, and it's a question for everyone. Would you rehire or work for someone who ran your business into the ground and who always does what's best for him or her, even when it hurts the company, and whose reckless decisions put you in danger, and who spends more time tweeting than working? If the answer is no, why the hell would we ever rehire Donald Trump for another 4 years? Trump says we should vote for him because he's a great businessman. Really? He drove his companies into bankruptcy 6 times, always leaving behind customers and contractors who had cheated and swindled and stopped doing business with him. Well, this time, all of us are paying the price, and we can't let him get away with it again. Donald says we should vote for him because the economy was great before the virus. Huh? Biden and Obama created more jobs over their last 3 years than the Trump administration did over their first 3. And economic growth was higher under Biden and Obama than under Trump. In fact, while Biden helped save 1 million auto industry jobs, Trump has lost 250,000 manufacturing jobs. So when Trump says he wants to make America great again, he's making a pretty good case for Joe Biden. Look, our goal shouldn't be to bring back the pandemic economy. It should be, as Joe says, to build it back better. Joe's economic plan will create clean energy jobs that help fight another crisis that Trump is ignoring, climate change. And Joe will rebuild our crumbling roads and bridges, something Trump has incessantly talked about doing. But in the last 3.5 years, he hasn't done anything. What a joke. And let me tell you a little secret. Donald Trump's economic plan was to give a huge tax cut to guys like me who didn't need it, and then lie about it to everyone else. Well, Joe will roll back that tax cut that I got so we can fund things our whole country needs, like training for adults who have lost jobs, and making college more affordable, and investing in American research and development so that the products of tomorrow are made today by American workers. You know, growing up, I was taught to believe that America is the greatest country in the world. Not because we won the Second World War, but because of why we fought it for freedom, democracy, and equality. My favorite childhood book was called Johnny Tremaine, about a Boston boy who joins the Sons of Liberty at the dawn of the American Revolution. At the end of the book, Johnny stands on Lexington Commons and sees a nation that is, quote, green with spring, dreaming of the future. That's the America I know and love. And that's the America we are in danger of losing under this president. So let's put an end to this whole sorry chapter in American history and elect leaders who will bring integrity and stability, sanity, and confidence back to the White House. Joe and Kamala, go get them for all of us.
We can help you find the best and safest way to vote in your state. Simply text the VOTE to 30330 to learn more. 30330 is actually not that hard to remember. Watch. Person, woman, man, camera, TV, 30330. Anyone can do it. I want to introduce you now to a young man who Vice President Biden met earlier this year in New Hampshire and helped to find his voice. Say hello to Braden Harrington.
Hi, my name is Braden Harrington and I'm 13 years old. And without Joe Biden, I wouldn't be talking to you today. About a few months ago, I met him in New Hampshire. He told me that we were members of the same club. It was really amazing to hear that someone like me became vice president. He told me about a book of poems by Yeats he would read out loud to practice. He showed me how he marks his addresses to make them easier to say out loud. So I did the same thing today. And now I'm here talking to you today about the future, about our future. My family often says when the world feels better before talking about something normal, like going to the movies. We all want the world to feel better. We need the world to feel better. I'm just a regular kid, and in a short amount of time, Joe Biden made moving forward confident about something that's bothered me my whole life. Joe Biden cared. Imagine what he could do for all of us. Kids like me are counting on you to elect someone we can all look up to. Someone who cares. Someone who will make our country and the world feel better. We're counting on you to elect Joe Biden.
The first time I met Joe, I was reading at my synagogue, and I had to do a funeral service and a shiva. And towards the end of the service, the door opened up, and this person who was much younger than these octogenarians who were there walked in the room. It was our U.S. Senator Joe Biden, and he was just very respectful, and he stayed in the back. His head was bowed in reverence. And at the end, I said, Senator Biden, like, why are you here? Because I was a nice Irish Catholic boy, from Shiva. And what he said was just so lovely. He said, this dear lady gave $18 campaign for the very first time I started in 1972. So he wanted to show his respect by saying thank you. And that just blew me away.
Do you guys mind how you're smaller? No, this is good. He's always eating ice cream. Usually it's like vanilla with chocolate sprinkles. Vanilla on a regular night. No, chocolate chip in it. Yeah, chocolate and the Breyers that have half chocolate and half vanilla. He likes ice cream in hidden ways. Yeah. Even it like in the freezer so that like technically goes crazy. He like hides it.
How often is it cold?
Like every day. Like if we don't talk to him for like a day, it's what's wrong. Yeah, really not a lot. He always calls with the same energy, even after he's just done 15 interviews in a row. Hi, Pop. I was just talking about you. I don't necessarily pick up every day, but I have a lot of voicemails. He will pick up our calls no matter where he is. He'd be like on stage giving a speech, and we'd call him and he'd be like, "What's wrong? Is everything good?" He'd be like, "Just on."
What does the word family mean to you?
It's a lot of time together. It's like, we've grown up together. He's made sure that every single tradition, every holiday, we're all together. I don't think that there's been any decision, no matter how big or small, that we haven't decided as a family.
Todd told us that this election would be totally different from any other election ever. He was worried how it would affect his kids, whether or not we wanted to go through another campaign and be scrutinized by the press. There had been talks of a big meeting coming.
It's normally called by the parents, I would say, but this time it was called by me.
I came down from Penn, and Maisie came up from DC, and my cousins lived down the road.
He thought we were calling a meeting sort of to like discuss, whether or not we wanted him to, but really we were calling it to be like, get in that race, hurry up.
We just knew that he had to run, and we weren't going to take no as an answer.
At the end of the day, I think we're all very happy we had that meeting.
All right, well, when you get back there, give me a call to tell me how the whole thing went.
Okay, I will.
I love you, baby.
I love you too.
We want to ensure that our kids live in a nation that is safe, happy, healthy, and fair. And so this election,
We're voting for Joe Biden. Let's have a conversation with these kids.
let's do it.
So let's jump right in, shall we?
Look at jump in. Mommy, I can't be quiet.
Why? I don't want you to be quiet. You deserve to speak and say whatever it is that comes to your mind in this moment right now. Every election is important. This upcoming election is especially important. One, because the social injustices right now, racial inequality, but also because we have children.
Excuse me, Mommy.
Yes.
I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
You want to go right now? Do you know where the president lives?
In the White House, Washington, D.C.
Do you know what the president's job is?
To tell what happened to the world.
That's good. That's a good one.
Keep the environment safe.
That's correct. As we said, that is.
If you could create the ideal person to lead this country, what characteristics would that person have?
A very kind personality.
What would you like to see taken care of?
I would like to see them taking care of the earth and the people.
So, girls, it is 2020 and the election is coming up in November. Do you know who is running for president?
Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And
exactly, that's it. That's the answer.
What would you say if you knew that Joe Biden was going to have a woman as his vice president?
surprised, happy.
Why?
There's not a lot of women being president and helping alongside the president.
How important do you think your faith is in the way that you live your life?
Really big. I'm grateful for all the things that I have and that I love my family.
With that said, everyone, we really thank you, one, for listening to this very candid conversation with our daughters. And we just want to encourage you to truly do your research, think about your own homes and what you'd like to see projected out into the world in the right direction is making sure that you vote this election for Biden. Whatever you do, please vote. Every vote counts. Just remember that. The dance out.
Here's the big question. How much of your time and energy are you willing to devote to elect Joe Biden? Here's my answer. I'm going all in. Look, elections can break your heart, but sometimes they can make you sing from the mountaintops. And this year, we're going to sing. This year, we're going to elect a president who's honest, experienced, and intelligent. A president who actually believes in the rule of law, who will restore dignity and normalcy to the White House and the soul of this nation. And boy, won't that be something? One of my favorite things Joe Biden says is that you can succeed in life without sacrificing your ideals or your commitment to family. So, who better to introduce our nominee, Joe Biden, than his children?
I'm Hunter Biden.
And I'm Ashley Biden.
Joe Biden is our dad.
And Bo is our brother.
We want to tell you what kind of president our dad will be.
He will be tough,
And honest.
caring, and principled.
He'll listen. He'll be there when you need him.
He'll tell you the truth even when you don't want to hear it.
He'll never let you down.
He'll be rock steady.
The strongest shoulder you can ever lean on.
He'll beam with pride every time you succeed.
He'll make your grandkids feel that what they've got to say matters.
He'll treat everyone with respect, no matter who you are.
He'll get up no matter how many times he's been knocked down.
He'll be the worst enemy any bully ever saw.
He'll be the best friend you've ever had.
He'll love you with all of his heart.
And if you give him your cell phone number,
He's going to call it.
how do we know?
Because he's been that way our whole lives.
He's been a great father.
And we think he'll be a great president.
Bo isn't with us any longer.
But he is still very much alive in our hearts. And we can still hear his strong voice.
Just like it was yesterday.
Just like it was yesterday.
In 2008 and 2012, he introduced our dad at those conventions.
And if he was here, we're pretty sure we'd know what he'd say.
So before we show you a film about our dad's journey, we wanted to give Bo the last word. Bo?
Bo, take it away.
In moments both public and private, he's the father I've always known, the grandfather my children love and adore, my father, my hero, Joe Biden.
Our lives have been turned upside down, shattered, and shaken. But the American story has had moments like this before. And he was there, answering the call.
When we came into office in 2009, we were going through what was then the worst financial and economic crisis since the Great Depression.
The economy was hemorrhaging, hundreds of thousands of jobs a week. People were losing their homes to foreclosure. The financial system was in tatters. Auto sales had dropped to near zero levels.
The auto companies faced bankruptcy, and many said, let them fail. But Joe remembered his and what it meant to lose a job. The Finnegans and Bidens were Irish Catholic. Joe was their first. And then his sister Valerie. From the moment I opened my eyes, my big brother was there. The thing that was most important was family and family and family. As the post-war boom faded, Joe's father struggled to find work in Scranton. But 140 miles south, there was a job cleaning boilers in Wilmington. There was a long stairway up to the second floor. Dad went up to Joey in our bedroom and saying, Joey, you gotta be a big boy. For the first time, Joe saw the heavy burden on a father. And it was a lesson he would never forget. The job
is a lot more than a paycheck. It's about dignity.
The country was losing tens of thousands of jobs a day, and they needed 3 votes to pass the economic rescue package.
Joe Biden was handed the task of going to get those 3 Republican votes.
Joe returned to the place where he had been so effective.
Passionate argument, a sympathetic listening, a willingness to make adjustments and accommodations to bring people on board.
When the law finally passed, the president tapped his partner to run the program. Joe tracked every dollar, calling mayors and governors.
Talking to them on the phone, one-on-one. He gave all of them his cell phone.
And I watched him bring his heart to that job. It matters that you have in your mind the family that you're trying to reach, the neighborhood that you're trying to reach, the people whose lives are affected by what you do. The skills that had made him so effective had not come easy. When he entered school, there was a problem. Joe had a stutter.
And it's mortifying. It allows that child to become an object of ridicule.
When his teacher mimicked him and Joe ran home from school, his mother drilled him back.
Did you say to my son, Mr. Biden? The nun said I was just trying to make a point. My mother stood up, all 5'2". If you ever talk to my son like that again, I'll come back and rip that damn button off your head. Do you understand me? Joey, go back to class.
Joe resolved to overcome his stutter.
Some letters are harder than others. And I used to get up at night and go stand in front of the mirror with a flashlight and practice. She'd make me look her in the eye. Look at me. Remember, Joey, you're the smartest boy in that class. Nobody's better than you, Joey. From having to deal with stuttering, it gave me insight into other people's pain, other people's suffering.
At 19, Joe sought out a summer job that few of his peers considered taking.
He was a lifeguard, along with the black lifeguard. That's when I first seen Jeff. And we became friends.
It was one of the best things I've ever done because it gave me a sense that we really didn't know one another.
After Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, riots broke out in Wilmington, and the National Guard stayed for almost a year.
I quit the law firm and asked for a job to become a public defender. That's what sort of got me involved in politics.
J. Caleb Boggs was a popular war hero in a solidly Republican state, and few took Joe's campaign seriously.
In Delaware, the Democratic Party was non-functional. When it got time to put out the candidate, they didn't want to touch it. This young upstart, Joe Biden, who had a lot of ideas and no money, no influence, the party said, okay, well then go ahead, Biden, give it a whirl.
We have coffee, and we come out of that, we have 5-1 coffees. He was very articulate on the issues. He brought people to say, not just that, boy, what you're doing is, what can I do to help?
Delaware is J. Caleb Boggs, who is Republican, being challenged by Joseph Biden. Biden is the Democrat who's 29 years of age.
But exhilaration soon turned to tragedy.
It was clear he had decided that I'm not going to be a senator, that the boys need me too much.
I was prepared to walk away in 1973. When men like Ted Kennedy and Mike Mansfield and Hubert Humphrey and Fritz Hollings did it away. They convinced me to stay. Just stay 6 months, Joe. Remember, Tim? Just stay 6 months.
He couldn't allow the suffering to debilitate him. Just like he couldn't allow the stuttering to define him. That's the backbone. There's something bigger than Joe's suffering.
The Senate turned out to be a wonderful place for him. He had a real gift for bringing people together.
The 3 of them had a bond that was forged in sorrow and expanded into joy when Jill entered.
They had built this beautiful family, this circle of trust.
And then the extra gift of Ashley. Growing up, it was full of adventure, laughter.
We do everything as a family, and we've always done everything as a family.
He was always a good, loving father. I mean, there's nothing more important to Joe than his children.
It's hard to explain how ever-present he was in our lives. You don't have to guess what my dad believes. The great benefit of being my father is that he doesn't have to contort himself into different people at different times.
Bo was going to do fine things. I mean, he had it all. And then he got sick. The whole world tilted. And it felt like we were all falling off. Once again, Joe faced the unimaginable.
My mother, she said, bravery resides in every heart, and someday it will be Sunday.
The way he survived losing my mom and my sister, and then losing my brother, is understanding that you have to have purpose.
Every day I get up, I ask myself, I hope he's proud of me. Because that's the thing that makes me go on.
From his time in the Senate and then the White House, Joe always found a way forward, forging unlikely friendships and alliances. And time after time, he made progress possible, and always holding in his heart the struggles of his family and every family, always fighting to make his country home. It's a very rare quality to bring your empathy skills to the process of governing. Joe Biden never forgets that that's the point of moving the wheels of government.
His word, he will reach out and hear what other people have to say. To have somebody that believes in what's best in us, somebody like Joe Biden who actually believes in the American idea, that's the kind of person who I want in the White House.
Good evening. Ella Baker, a giant of the civil rights movement, left us with this wisdom. Give people light, and they will find the way. Give people light. Those are words for our time. The current president has cloaked American darkness for much too long. Too much anger, too much fear, too much division. Here and now, I give you my word. If you entrust me with the presidency, I will draw on the best of us, not the worst. I'll be an ally of the light, not the darkness. It's time for us, for we the people, to come together. And make no mistake, united we can and will overcome this season of darkness in America. We'll choose hope over fear, facts over fiction, fairness over privilege. I'm a proud Democrat, and I'll be proud to carry the banner of our party into the general election. So it's a great honor and humility I accept this nomination for President of the United States of America. But while I'll be a Democratic candidate, I will be an American president. I'll work hard for those who didn't support me, as hard for them as I did for those who did vote for me. That's the job of a president, to represent all of us, not just our base or our party. This is not a partisan moment. This must be an American moment. It's one with the calls for hope and light and love. Hope for our future. Light to see our way forward, and love for one another. America isn't just a collection of clashing interests of red states or blue states. We're so much bigger than that. We're so much better than that. Now, nearly a century ago, Franklin Roosevelt pledged a New Deal in a time of massive unemployment, uncertainty, and fear.
stricken by a disease, stricken by a virus, FDR insisted that he would recover and prevail, and he believed America could as well. And he did, and we can as well. This campaign isn't just about winning votes. It's about winning the heart and, yes, the soul of America. Winning it for the generous among us, not the selfish. Winning it for workers who keep this country going, not just the privileged few at the top. Winning it for those communities who have known the injustice of a knee on the neck. For all the young people who have known only America being rising inequity and shrinking opportunity, they deserve the experience of America's promise. They deserve to experience it in full. You know, no generation ever knows what history will ask of it. All we can ever know is whether we're ready when that moment arrives. And now history has delivered us to one of the most difficult moments America's ever faced. Four historic crises, all at the same time. A perfect storm.